We're going to move from a development story to a discovery story. That's forward statements. So we started the company in 2004. I started in 2004 as a uranium explorer in the Athabasca Basin. In 2018, we diversified into the energy metal space. But today, we're going to focus on our two of our uranium projects, which will be the main catalyst for stock price appreciation in 2023. So the market cap of the company is $19 million right now, and we have $2.4 million in cash. I've got a background in uranium. I explored for uranium in the 70s and have been involved in it ever since. Ken Wheatley, our VP Exploration, has over 40 years of uranium experience in the Athabasca Basin. He's certainly one of the well-respected experts of unconformity uranium deposits. And most recently, we just hired Rebecca Hunter. Rebecca formerly worked for Cameco for 11 years as the project manager of the NUNAVUT in Nunavut in the Thelon Basin Exploration Program, where Cameco made 2 significant discoveries, and we recently just acquired all that ground, and she'll talk about that a bit later. So, geologists have scoured the planet for unconformity style deposits in Proterozoic basins. And there's only 3 that have proven to be economic. We all know the Athabasca Basin is prolific. We know that the MacArthur Basin in Australia, in the Northern Territory, has a sizable uranium, unconformity style uranium deposit. And the only other basin that has an economic deposit is the Thelon Basin, right here in our own backyard in northern Canada, in Nunavut. It has an existing unconformity-style uranium deposit that is owned by Orano, Denison, and UEC, called the TATIGGAQ deposit. It's 133 million pounds of mineable reserve, not an indicated or inferred resource, at an open pit grade of over almost 6.6%. So I'm going to ask Rebecca to come up here, and she's going to give you a tale of 2 basins, the Athabasca and the Thelon. It's a little slow.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Rick, and good afternoon, everyone. And so now I'm going to take you through our 2 projects that we'll be working on primarily, including this Thelon project. And so we'll just start in the Athabasca. So the main project up there is WOLLASTON, and all the little blue polygons there are our properties in the Athabasca. So we have a fairly large land package. But the WOLLASTON is on the kind of eastern side of the Athabasca Basin, just outside it. And it's really close to Rabbit Lake and McLean Lake. It's along the main road up to those areas. So it's really optimally situated for exploration. And so here's the project location again. So it's right on the western side of Wollaston Lake. That's the big lake up there. And again, showing the deposits and the kind of mill infrastructure that's really close. It's all within about 30 kilometers of the Wollaston project. And so we just got our data back. We did a time domain EM survey, a helicopter one, over the Wollaston project. And so we got really good data. Again, we have the right rocks. We're in the Wollaston supergroup. So we got good politic units and the graphite. And we also got all our EM conductors now. And so we have over 45 kilometers, I think, of good conductor that need to be tested. And this area has had a bit of drilling, but not a lot, and a lot of it has been quite shallow. And so there's a lot of potential here to look at this and make some discoveries. And so actually earlier this winter, in the spring of 2022, we did do a little bit of drilling, and we had the Gizmo discovery. It was targeted using gravity close to the conductive trend that now we have a nice solid conductor going through there. And so we got some really nice alteration and some low-grade mineralization over the area. And so we're really excited to go back and actually test the new conductor trace. And so here's just a few pictures of that mineralization. So again, some good alteration, so exactly what you're looking for in these basement-hosted deposits. And you get a little bit of weak pitch blende in there as well. And so that was the kind of the story about Wollaston. So that's the first basin in the Athabasca. And now we're going to focus, or I'm going to focus in this talk on the Thelon Basin. So the Thelon Basin is to the north there. And so the project history of the area, during the last uranium cycle, Cameco was up there, and that's who I worked for from 2005 to 2014. We were actively exploring the area. And at the same time, Rano, which was Areva at the time, they were furthering along their TATIGGAQ deposit, doing their environmental assessment and feasibility. But unfortunately, post-Fukushima, everything just kind of came crashing down because the uranium price was gone. And so Rano put TATIGGAQ on care and maintenance, and similarly, Cameco pulled out and couldn't justify spending the money up there and pulled back to the Athabasca Basin, leaving that project. And so here's just a project map. So in green here is the ground now that Forum is staked. It basically surrounding the old Rano properties, which are in orange. And essentially it's the old Cameco ground. And so when we were up there, from 2005 to 2014, we made those two discoveries, the TATIGGAQ zone and the TATIGGAQ discovery, which were nice high-grade basement-hosted unconformity zones, very similar to what's observed at TATIGGAQ. And so this is just a close-up of the property again, so you can see the Forum's ground surrounding Rano's leases. And so during that time, when I was working for Cameco, we drilled about 36,000 meters in 135 holes. So that's what we got done. And that's when we made those discoveries. And just for context, too, Rano's development proposal was for that 133 million pounds on their project. And so we really just wanted to chase up more pounds and follow that geological setting to find our own. And we did. And so this map here is just a mag map with the property. Again, it's a little hard to see. And then the little red polygons are showing all the targets that we have on the area. So it's all kind of small, but TATIGGAQ and TATIGGAQ are up there. TATIGGAQ is about 5 kilometers from Rano's project boundary there. And so we have the two undelineated zones, TATIGGAQ and TATIGGAQ. And then on all these other grids, either we did a couple drill holes, all of which hit pretty good alteration, and then tons of other grids, like almost a dozen other grids that have no drilling, and we didn't get to them. Once we found TATIGGAQ, we kind of were focusing on that overall. And so just zooming in to TATIGGAQ, so one of the ways to target these zones in the Thelon Basin in particular is you use gravity, because they have these nice alteration envelopes and they make these really nice anomalies. And so that's what the blue there is just showing that gravity anomaly. And so what we discovered there was two zones. We basically focused in the southwest quadrant of that anomaly. and basically found a rough estimate, non-43-101, just kind of back of the envelope, roughly 8 million pounds, just over 1%. So that's what we're looking at TATIGGAQ. And then so all the other holes, there's a few sporadic holes into the rest of the anomaly, which intersected phenomenal alteration and elevated geochemistry, but just didn't find the pods. And so basically we think that this area, based on the enormous alteration halo and what we found, that this deposit could be on the order of, at least on the order of what kind of Areva's different deposits are, so between 30 and 60 million pounds. And so essentially our plan is to go up there and just start drilling it and prove out that resource. And so the anomaly itself is quite substantial. So it's about 1.5 kilometers long and about half a kilometer wide. So it's kind of just showing you the scope. And so we still have essentially about a kilometer of strike length that could have mineralization that we haven't tested yet. Here's just a picture of the actual mineralization. So again, all the black stuff is the uraninite. It's all very structurally controlled and kind of steep veins and breccias. And just showing you some of the grades, so very phenomenal grades that very comparable to what you would see in the Athabasca even. And certainly it's even a bit better than what has been discovered at TATIGGAQ. And so you have like 1% to 2.5 over pretty significant meterages, so 7 meters to upwards of 15, and locally up to 20%. So that's why we're really excited about this area. And then there's tons of blue sky potential. So that's the other big aspect of this project, is that just before we even get up there, we have 2 deposits to delineate. But we also have all these other grids that either have been drilled slightly or not drilled at all. And so this is the IRA showing. What's super exciting about IRA is we didn't find any mineralization. We have elevated counts, but phenomenal clay alteration, and it has the sandstone. And so in the area, we're mostly been targeting these kind of basement-hosted deposits, similar to Rabbit Lake or those zones that are in the basement. But this one actually has the Thelon Formation on top of it, so the basin is still there. And the sandstone column above this really altered rock is also altered and has elevated geochem, similar to what you would see over Cigar Lake, so desilicified and upwards of 10 ppm uranium in the sandstone column. And so I've only seen that sort of alteration above some of those big major unconformity deposits, like traditional unconformity deposits in the Athabasca Basin. And so really, yeah, just to sum up, the project is we have 2 drill-ready high-grade uranium deposits to delineate. And so I didn't touch on the other one, but again, similar grades, similar size. And then we have all this blue sky potential to actually find, hopefully, we're looking at finding the first 100 million pound plus deposit that hasn't been found in the Thelon to date. So there's elephants to find on this project, and I think Forum is really well situated with the ground package that they have to make that come true. And yeah, this is just kind of where we're going with it. So I mean, we're just the early stages. We got the ground, and now we're just trying to get a camp up there and get the fuel and all that sort of stuff.